Topic number one, the upcoming Pixel 8 Pro event. Now, Google, as is typical Google and Pixel fashion, these phones have leaked well in advance of their actual event. But now Google has officially this week announced that yes, this is what the phones look like. And we will be announcing them, releasing them on October 4th. So they're going to have, I guess, a keynote speech, probably some sort of prepared presentation to stream online. It's going to be at Google's campus in their amphitheater. Different people in the media have been invited, of course, and different news outlets. And what we can expect to see is, well, one, the Pixel 8, two, the Pixel 8 Pro, and three, the upcoming Google Pixel Watch 2. Possibly there's some rumors floating around about a possible Pixel Buds update, but Google isn't saying anything about that yet, so maybe it'll be a surprise addition at the end of it. Maybe, I think routinely they've kind of done stuff with their like AR glass. And it's not even technology, right? It's just concept videos right now that they've been putting out. They haven't had any actual solid objects like how Apple has of Apple Vision Pro.
hmm
So I still don't think we're gonna get an actual like AR Google glasses announced, but I could see them, showing how future, AR VR Google Glass Google headset would work. I'm sure we'll have some talk about all the AI stuff that Google is doing, all the advancements that they're doing, and how it's gonna help power the phone and power new features in their phone. I don't know. I'm not too excited for this. I'm definitely looking forward to see the new phones, I guess, to see what they're capable of because Google, always has some cool features that they announce, like with their face unblur technology, their magic eraser technology. They always have something cool. But what are your thoughts? I don't know. Am I just being cynical? Are you excited for these phones? Are you excited for, possibly the new Pixel Watch too?
I'm completely with you, honestly. It's kind of difficult, and it's not just a Pixel problem. I think it's difficult to get excited about phones in the modern era, especially because from year to year, so little really changes. And with Google, they're not. It's not like the last year where they introduced a new product like the Pixel Watch. We're not expecting a brand new product from them this year, just updates of products that already exist. And the Pixel 8 has leaked. And we always talk about on this podcast, it's not good just to take a leak for what it is. And then when that turns out to not be true, you get disappointed. Chances are these leaks will probably be very true, but still, who knows? Maybe the phones might look a little different, or maybe there might be a cool color that isn't in the leak that we might see that can kind of get a little bit of excitement out there. But from what we're seeing right now, specifically on the Pixel 8 side of things, nothing too exciting there, in my opinion. Now, I think that also depends on, this year we are going to get a Tensor G3. Uh, and usually every time they introduce the Tensor chip, there is always some kind of added feature that they're highlighting that chip can do well. I think they've done enough with the photography side of things. And when I mean enough, I mean in terms of marketing. I think you can't keep on talking about photography every year getting better and better and better. I think even in Apple's showcase, which we'll talk about a little bit later, it was still very long, but it seems like less and less time each year is dedicated to cameras because I think people just realize a cell phone camera is what a cell phone camera is. We know what to expect. Um, and a lot of that marketing about, oh, this is going to be the new greatest camera of all time doesn't really work as well as it did maybe 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm kind of curious to see what Google does with that. And you did mention, some of their AR stuff. I would love to see a lot of their lens kind of technology come to the forefront of what a Pixel phone is. Um, and maybe they can highlight it in terms of maybe being better for people who need assistance, maybe visual assistance or auditory assistance. Maybe Pixels can kind of grow in that way. But then there's also the sense of maybe repairability. Maybe they can take that. We've talked about the Fairphone a little bit. Maybe they can kind of play that up a bit. I doubt it, but I think those are the types of conversations that will get a lot of people a little bit more excited about what a Pixel phone can be. The one place where I am very interested, though, is the Pixel Watch. I do think that the first Pixel Watch to me was a disappointment. The battery life is not very good. It's a very small watch. It's a very delicate watch because it has glass all the way around that can break really easily. But then also, I didn't particularly like the design of not having lugs on the watch. I think it makes it look a little bit too, I don't know, a little bit too digital. Like there's not really much about it that makes it look like a watch. It just kind of looks like a stone on your wrist, which I think some people like, but I don't think that's a traditional watch style that people who are into watches are going to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I would love to see them introduce maybe a bigger size, a more interesting design that has more design to it instead of just a pebble on your wrist. We see Samsung going back to its roots of, the rotating bezel and kind of having a more traditional watch style with their new versions, and people were really excited about that. Maybe Google can kind of follow suit and make a really compelling watch this year. I don't necessarily believe that they will. Like I said, I've not been a big fan of Google's implementation of stuff in the past, but I think if they can knock that out of the park, maybe that can bring a little bit more excitement to this event. But yeah, to answer your question, I'm with you. I don't think right now, from what we've seen, there's a ton to be excited about with a Pixel 8 event.
Yeah. Is there anything that you would get excited about? I mean, this is mainly about the Pixel 8. What if there's some sort of update, let's say, to the Pixel Fold? Or maybe we get some sort of update or accessories for the Pixel tablet. Are those things that you might be interested in, or is there nothing really from Google, I guess, that's compelling for you right now?
For me, not from this event. I think the 8A event is where I might get a little bit
Mm,
more interested.
hmm
And I would love for them, maybe when they introduce the A event, they, pull an Apple and maybe introduce an A series watch as well, like Apple does with their SE watch. I think that is where I'm more interested. I love the idea of budget products, but just to force the sense of argument, um, if they did, Apple put a very small, and we'll talk about Apple a little bit. I keep bringing them up, but they put a very small note in their keynote about the Pro models now having a mid plate so that you can take the screen off and the back plate off separately from each other, which is what they did last year with the non-Pro models of the phones. I would love for Google to one up that. If they can bring some serious conversation about their phone being more repairable,
hmm
that could get me excited because we've talked about Fairphone. We've talked about, hey, they're pretty much doing everything they can, but they're not available in all markets. And the design really isn't all that, um, you know, great compared to a lot of the more mainstream phones out there. But they also don't have the money of a Google. So there really is no excuse for Google to not be able to make the perfect repairable phone. They're the ones who, bought that Project Ara kind of whole concept of the
The
modular phone
modular phone? Yeah.
that they completely just abandoned. I would be incredibly excited if they brought some of that concept back. That will never happen, but for me, that would be something that would get me excited. But for you, I know you've been a Pixel user. I've never used a Pixel before. Is there anything particularly to you that would be exciting about this event? Anything that they could do with the buds, the watch, or even the phone that would maybe interest you in getting back into the Pixel ecosystem?
I mean, I'd be interested in Pixel Buds. I'd like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
From the phones, the watch, not really, to be honest. I mean, we keep on bringing up Apple. We're gonna get to Apple eventually, but I'm very much in the Apple ecosystem right now, and there isn't in like I don't like in my opinion, there isn't enough of a compelling or there aren't enough compelling products from Google in order to switch over.
Mm-hmm.
Samsung could say, okay, maybe, but still not compelling enough for me personally. Um, when you look at okay, the laptop, the tablet, the phone, the watches, all of those all of those offerings from me, I like better from Apple
Yeah.
as opposed to what Samsung offers and opposed to what Google offers or any other ecosystem out there. Definitely better than what OnePlus offers. Um, so yeah, I would need to see something so drastic. I would need to see something so drastic. I don't even know what it would be. Like definitely for tablets, there needs to be some sort of stylus,
Yeah.
which okay, you could say Samsung has. But then when you look at the laptops, for instance, like MacBooks are great products. They're great, especially for people creating things. They're great products and they last long, right? As I've said, I don't know, hundreds of times, I'm still using a MacBook from 2012.
Yeah.
So they last a long time. Yeah, I've had to replace the battery myself, back when Apple let you do that. Yeah, I've like upgraded the SSD and the RAM myself back when Apple allowed you to do that. But yeah, in order for me to make a change, it would have to be something very, very, very compelling. And something like, let's say, the Ultra phones from Samsung, like the S22 and the S23. Those are very compelling phones for me, but I guess not enough to make the switch over from iPhone and Apple. Because as soon as I do one, then I'd have to be prepared to do everything else with it, right? Because I have an Apple Watch right now. So as soon as I make the switch from from an Apple phone to a Samsung phone, that's not just me deciding I want a new phone. It's me, I want a new phone and I want a new watch. And then probably eventually I'm gonna want a new tablet because the phone I have isn't gonna work as well with the tablet I have.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the benefit of having an ecosystem. Like when people make decisions, it's not just one purchasing decision that they're making. It's almost like three, four, five decisions that they're making with just switching out one product.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. And I think Google has been slow to get up to that level. I think Samsung is there personally. I think it's just about what you prefer. And I do
Hmm.
think Apple does a lot of things better than what Samsung does. But if you are in the Samsung ecosystem, I think there are really good products that you'll be happy with. I don't think that's the case with Google. Like I said, I think the Pixel Watch, the original one, missed the mark um, with the size and the battery and stuff like that. It just wasn't a good option. I'm sure it's a good option for some people, but not for a large audience of people who wants to be in that ecosystem. But you did bring up a really good point. Something else that I think I would be quite excited for would be an update to the Chromebook Pixel. Um, Chromebooks
Hmm.
have exploded in popularity, and there is very little conversation about Chromebooks being woven into the ecosystem of the Pixel line. Like obviously now Chromebooks can run Android apps, which is great, but there should be more conversation in these events of being like, hey, you get an updated Chromebook Pixel, it's gonna work great with your Pixel phone and your Pixel Watch and all that stuff. And that Chromebook Pixel has been old. It hasn't been updated for a very long time. I think the design is relatively good. I think it can use a bit of an update, but an updated version of that I think would be a great thing to highlight at an event like this, just to get some more eyes on it. But yeah, I agree with you.